Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Mrs. Mummy PhD podcast. I am your host, Dr. Michelle Gibbs, and I am passionate about helping scholarly mamas like you navigate your journeys with purpose so you can achieve your life and academic goals without sacrificing what matters. The reality is that scholarly mama life is multidimensional. We're scholars, yes, but we're also mothers, wives, and so much more with whole lives outside of academia. So how do we successfully navigate all this? Well, first, we need the space to embrace this unique blend. Only then can we begin the important work of becoming purposefully whole. And part of my own purposeful work is to create a space for us as scholarly mamas to grow, to reflect, and to become everything that we were meant to be. So, mama, are you in? Fabulous. Let's begin. These are our journeys of becoming. Hey mamas, welcome back to the podcast. Have you ever felt like you just needed to take a break? You just needed to take a break. You just needed a moment to breathe, right? This is not uncommon for mamas who are wearing many hats and juggling so many responsibilities, from PhD deadlines, trying to meet those and keep up with that, writing your thesis, conducting your studies, collecting your data, analyzing your data, juggling home life and everything that comes with that, from navigating and negotiating bedtimes, illness, tantrums, bickering, keeping kids entertained, keeping them occupied with activities and doing all the things and just keeping up with all the extracurricular things and helping with homework and all of those things that we do as moms, right? And just feeling like you wish you could just freeze everything for a moment. You know, maybe your workload is suddenly just feeling so overwhelming. The demands of your academic research, your writing, the deadlines are piling up, making it feel so challenging to juggle all of that with family responsibilities. Maybe you are dealing with unexpected parental challenges, right? Such as one of your kids having a health issue, or somebody in your family is unwell, or there's a change in the routine at home, and the emotional tax of that is adding up. Or maybe it's just hitting a roadblock in the research process, feeling stuck in your PhD, feeling stuck in your research, and experiencing writer's block or feeling uninspired. It's just so frustrating when you reach those walls on your journey and you feel like you cannot move forward. You feel like you're just going in circles. You're not making any progress. Or maybe it's just the guilt of trying to juggle everything. The weight of that is just too much sometimes, leading you to feeling inadequate, not good enough, feeling like you can't do this, going down a rabbit hole of, well, it must be me. Something must be wrong with me because for some reason I just cannot get myself together. I can't get things under control. Like things are spiraling out of my control. Maybe it's just pure fatigue, a decline in motivation, signs of burnout, suggesting that you just need a break. You just need to take that moment to just recenter yourself. Maybe it's a struggle with dual identity, as a PhD candidate and the professional you, right? And having to then also identify as a mama and all that that brings in terms of expectations. How do you juggle both of those identities? Maybe that's creating a sense of identity crisis. Or maybe it's worrying about your career. Lots of PhD students worry about what their post-PhD career options will be, and how's that going to impact on family life, and am I given that enough consideration? Maybe that is making you feel like you just need to take a break. Perhaps it's conflict between your personal goals and your academic goals, because on one hand, you want to pursue your academic career, you want to do as well as you possibly can in your PhD. But on the other hand, you also want to have time with your family. You want to enjoy the little things in life, right? And that's causing a sense of internal tension. Or maybe you've not been looking after yourself, and you know this. You've been neglecting self-care because of the demands of academia and motherhood, leading you to feel increasingly stressed and fatigued. Maybe even it's having no boundaries, struggling with setting clear boundaries between PhD life and home life. The lines just become blurred, and you're just beginning to feel burnt out and beginning to feel like you need to take a step back. Or maybe it's the isolation, right? We know how isolating this journey can be, this journey of academic motherhood, especially if you don't have a support system. Maybe you just feel like this is too much and I really need to just take a break. Perhaps there's financial stresses. Of course, there's a lot of uncertainty in academia, in terms of future employment, and perhaps that's weighing on your mind, and you're thinking and worrying about family stability and how that's, how the financial instability is going to affect your family. Maybe it's imposter syndrome. You're comparing yourself to other people. They're progressing and they're doing really well. And you just wonder, well, when is my time going to come, right? When am I going to experience success? Or maybe it's the academic landscape and all of the challenges that come with navigating that as a mother, feeling like the odds are up against you. How on earth can I even have the audacity to think that me as a mother can succeed in juggling PhD life and motherhood? Maybe there are other significant life transitions and changes that you're going through, like a house move or a birth of a child, welcoming a new child to your family, or there's a change in family dynamics, there's a divorce or a separation, or there's a, change in living arrangements or what have you. These kinds of life-changing transitions. In all these scenarios, Mama, I want you to stop and think. In all of these scenarios, what ends up happening to us is that we don't allow ourselves to pause. We don't allow ourselves this gift, which has the potential to give us clarity, helping us to make more informed decisions, helping us to foster resilience in the face of challenges. How can we do that when we don't give ourselves time to pause, and we don't give ourselves time to reflect, and we don't take a break? I remember feeling like this so many times in my PhD, so many times where I just thought, what on earth am I doing here? Who am I to think that I could actually make this work? This little girl from Barbados is all the way in the UK, navigating family life, marriage life, far away from family, and trying to do a PhD. What on earth was I thinking? I remember thinking this to myself. And when I reflect on those moments when I was deep in the throes of it, what I did realize was that I don't thrive when I am overwhelmed. I do not thrive when I am overwhelmed. And I remember thinking in those many moments, because I've had those moments so many times as a mother, when I was a PhD student, those moments of pure overwhelm, when you cannot see the way through it, when you cannot see how this is going to work out. All you can see is how hard the journey ahead of you is. All you can see is all the reasons why this cannot work. When all you can see is your failures in even attempting to make this work. This is what I am speaking to today. And I'm speaking to it because I have been here so many times. But I am here to let you know that there's light at the end of the tunnel. I know you cannot see it right now because these are huge, huge challenges to overcome. But if you can only believe in what is possible, and in order to give yourself the gift of that self-belief, you have to give yourself the gift of pausing, of slowing down. Because when you are in a state of overwhelm, when there's everything crumbling and crushing your shoulders down, the burden, the pressure, the weight of it all, you are not able to make your highest contribution. You are not able to give in any of those areas. And so it's counterintuitive to continue to ride this hamster wheel around and around and around in a circle and a cycle of overwhelm. And I want to offer you, Mama, an alternative perspective today. I want to offer you the thought that a reflective pause can be a tool to give you an opportunity to gain clarity on your next steps, on how far you've come, on what's possible, on what you may need to let go of whether it's time to walk away or is it worth staying and fighting for. These are all the things that just taking a break can allow you to think through, to reflect on, to meditate on, and to seek answers on, right? And I'm not just talking about going to the spa or just, having a long nap. I think rest is important and rest is our responsibility, of course. But I'm more talking about giving ourselves the mental space to think, giving ourselves the mental space to reflect, giving ourselves the space to really understand what we want out of this journey. What are we willing to give up? What have we been giving up that we want back? Because in a lot of cases, we are making sacrifices that we do not wish to make. They're undesirable to us, but yet we feel like we have to make them for whatever reason, whether it's external pressures or internal standards or what have you. You feel like you have to just keep doing all the things. And when I take a step back to really assess my priorities when I have been in those positions, to reevaluate where I can make adjustments, where I can delegate, where I can emotionally process things, where I can evaluate what support systems I might need to help me through, whether it be developing new strategies to manage things better, reconsider certain approaches. For example, when I mentioned about feeling stuck in the research, do I need to take a step back from this and really reassess what am I trying to achieve in my research? And is this the right method? Is this the right approach to use? Do I need to make a change? Do I need to pivot? I'll talk about that in more depth in another episode? Do I need to seek inspiration from other sources? Do I need to give myself time to allow creative ideas to emerge and flow through taking this break? Do I need to reflect on my personal expectations? When I think about this juggling act, this juggle struggle, are my expectations unrealistic for how I can navigate this journey? Do I need to acknowledge that, even just being on this journey is an achievement in itself and give myself credit for that, right? Do I need to think about realigning my priorities to match my longer term goals? Because it's not just about getting the PhD. As a mother, you're thinking about building those bonds with your kids and walking them through their own growth and their own development, right? Being there as a support for them through that. If you're struggling with this idea of merging and blending your two identities as a PhD student, as a mama, as a wife, as whatever, all the other identities that you may have, blending those, do you need to reconsider, reflect on what your personal values are? Are you honoring each of those roles in a way that you wish to? Do you need to find new ways to integrate all of the aspects of all of those hats and roles so that you can live a more harmonious life? If you're thinking about navigating the post-PhD wilderness, for example, I talk about that in a few episodes back. Is it time to explore what your potential career possibilities might be and perhaps aligning the choices that you outline for yourself with your personal goals, with your family goals, and just making that period of time an intentional time, thinking about making intentional decisions about the future, not just navigating the post-PhD wilderness by default, but navigating that period of time by design and choosing where you want to take your career. If you're not looking after yourself, mama, if the self-care is suffering, do you need to think about, okay, how can I incorporate simple self-care strategies in my day-to-day, not some elaborate holiday to the Maldives or anything? I'm not advertising for the Maldives, by the way. If I am going to advertise for somewhere, I'm going to advertise for Barbados. But, if it is that you are wanting to establish a more sustainable self-care routine, do you need to think about what are you currently doing and how can you improve that in a way that is sustainable in the longer term? If you're not practicing enforcing your boundaries, maybe you need to think about, well, do I have any boundaries, right? Can I communicate what my expectations are for family or colleagues or whoever else is fighting for your attention? How can I communicate my boundaries to them so that I can have a more fulfilled, a more defined work-life blend? In terms of isolation and not feeling supported, do I need to reflect on what my connection needs are? What are my needs for connection? How can I build or join a network of other PhD mothers or other peers or mentors, or exploring other avenues for support and connection? How can I do that? During this reflective pause, these are some of the things that we can think about. If it's a financial situation, how can I explore potential solutions? How can I create a strategic plan to manage my financial stress? Is there anything that I can do, any sources of financial support that I can tap into to help make this period of time more manageable? If it's imposter syndrome, for example, maybe I can use this time of reflection to think about my personal achievements and reminding myself of how far I've come, reminding myself of my strengths, using those strategies to help overcome this feeling of feeling like an imposter. We all know the academic landscape is forever changing, but we can use our reflective pauses to evaluate the impact it's having on us and whether we need to adapt our expectations and align our expectations with our actions in how we navigate academia. And of course, if it is that you're navigating life transitions and major life changes, maybe you can use the reflective pause to reflect on the impact of those changes, how you can make those changes a little bit smoother for yourself or your family, and developing strategies to navigate those changes if they pop up again in the future. You see, when we approach these stressful situations, these overwhelm-inducing situations with intentionality and with a holistic outlook, I believe that this allows us to get the clarity we need, that we can move forward with confidence. We can move forward with clarity. We can move forward knowing that we're making the right decisions. We can trust ourselves. It helps us to develop self-trust. Because a lot of times when we are overwhelmed and we are operating from a place of stress and overwhelm, when we are stuck in the throes of the juggle-struggle, we don't trust ourselves. In fact, we lose trust in ourselves. I have experienced this myself, where I just thought at some point, it's like, you know what? Maybe I'll just let other people decide what I should do next. Because honestly, I don't even know if I trust myself to make these decisions anymore. I don't even know if I trust myself to actually make this happen, actually make this work. And so I'm going to just delegate all the decision making to those who are able to make such decisions. You start to lose that trust. You start to believe like, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe this isn't for me, right? But when we slow down and we take that reflective pause, we really embrace the power of that, we actually empower ourselves to make really good decisions that are right for us at the time, given the circumstances, right? We're able to take intentional action in these situations that allows us to rebuild that self-trust. And so I just really want to encourage you, if you are navigating a season of overwhelm, a season of it's all happening, there's too much happening at the moment, I just need to take a break, then mama, take the break. Give yourself the gift of that reflective pause. Allow yourself to just take a moment or moments. You may need to go through this period of just slowing down, taking things off your to-do list, blocking some time out on your calendar to just reflect. Just have time in there for reflection. And actually, being intentional about setting that time is a really good idea, because we all know, like we have the best intentions of, yes, I need to reflect. I'm going to pause and just meditate. I'm going to think, give myself time. But when we are stuck in that cycle of the juggle-struggle, the overwhelm, if we don't put it on the calendar, I'm telling you, mama, it's not going to happen. And you will give yourself a lot of mental work because you'll be thinking about all the things all the time. You'll be thinking about all this stuff and you'll be saying to yourself, yeah, I need to take a break. I need to take a break. There's too much. I've got too much on. But you are so stuck in that cycle that you don't even take the time to reflect. You don't even take the time to pause, to think through what you want to do, to actually problem solve for yourself. You just continue in this cycle of non-stop overwhelm. And that is not sustainable. You do not make your highest contributions when you are in a state of overwhelm. Everything I'm sharing with you, I am sharing with you from experience. I've been in that space of overwhelm so many times feeling the pressures on my shoulders, going to and fro like a headless chicken, right? From one thing to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing, and just feeling the overwhelm build up and build up and build up, and not allowing myself the space, the mental space to just pause, to just take a break and really think about my next steps, my best steps, what I need to actually do to solve some of these problems in my life. And of course, for me, prayer is a huge part of that. Just really thinking, God, give me the wisdom to make the right choices under these circumstances. And really and truly, what that has been was a reflective pause. Just having that time to reflect, journal, reflect, meditate, whatever you want to call it. Just take a break, mama. Take that break and give yourself the gift of the reflective pause. I hope you've enjoyed the episode. If you did, please do share it with another scholarly mama because we are all navigating this journey of life, of motherhood, of academia, and it's not easy. It's not easy, and we need to share the wisdom that we've picked up along the way so that others who are coming behind us can use these tools and strategies to help them navigate their journey with purpose and success. Until next time, I'm sending you lots of love and lots of gratitude. Take care. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to the Mrs. Mummy PhD podcast. I hope you've enjoyed the episode, and if you did and you want in on this movement, please head over to mrsmummyphd.com or scholarlymamas.com. If you want to do your PhD well without sacrificing yourself or those you love dearest, then you need your hands on my free training called the PhD with Purpose Webinar. When you join us inside Scholarly Mamas Explore, you'll get access to this free training and so much more. Remember, mama, these are our journeys of becoming.